What's up, YouTube? Happy Labor Day weekend. Enforcer 5150 here. And what I'm going to do today is go ahead and kind of compare between the HP Omen and the Dell G5 that I had before. Now let's go ahead and get into the specs real quick here. We have the i7 on 8750H, 2.2 gigahertz, and that is on the HP Omen. Then on our G5, we have an i5 8300H with a 2.3 gigahertz, and they're both using the same 1060s and the same RAM and everything else. So that's the main difference. Anyway, what we're going to do is go ahead and start this out just like we did in the last one and kind of have them compared from my last video into this one. My last video being the HP or the Dell G5. So let's go ahead. We're going to have this set at 1080p and everything maxed out just like we did last time. Alright, so I'm going to have these lined up as best as I can anyway between the last video and this video. So we are at 1080p, and right now what we're seeing on each one, HP Omen is definitely doing better than the Dell G5 was. We're at 240. See, we got 241 for our average, and the Dell G5 at the same settings is at 184. So that's actually a pretty big jump in difference. One thing I also been noticing here is that the CPU usage is actually a little bit higher on the Dell G5, and that could have a pretty big role in why this is running so badly. Let's see how we do in the smoke, and yeah, we're just a little bit over on the HP Omen. We're really looking more at the average than the lowest because, I mean, the smokes, they're stacked and stuff like that, like I mentioned in the last video. So we're just kind of looking more at the average here to see how much, we can stay over, the 60 frames per second. But also remember that this laptop has a display port out, so it has a mini display port out that definitely you can take advantage of having more than 60 frames per second if you're connected to a monitor. Anyway, that's actually a pretty big difference there. 163 versus 209. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing as we did in the last one. We're gonna go ahead and test it out at was it 1080p at everything on its lowest settings. Alright, so what we're going to do here, we're just going to go ahead and put everything exactly how we did on the Dell G5. So basically, we're going to put everything low, the texture's lowest, we're going to put the anti-aliasing, the shadows, everything at the bare minimum, and see how much frames per second we get on these as well. So let's not waste any more time and go ahead and get to it. Alright, so pretty much I'm just going to put these side to side and see how well my editing skills actually are. So far we're actually doing a lot better on the HP Omen 15, which is contrary to what we were seeing in Monster Hunter World. Like I said though, that game is too new to really get a full sense of how it's going to be performing with different games. So far, I mean, look at we're getting an average of 370, 360 some, and we're getting an average of 219 on the G5. One thing I've been noticing here is that the GPU, megahertz is definitely lower on the G5, and I don't know why that is. I really don't. I wasn't running anything different. There's actually more memory being used up on the Omen. So that's kind of strange. I foolishly didn't have the temperature on the Dell G5, but I do know that with what we've seen. Oh, how far are we going here? We're really close in the smoke, but like I said, we're looking at the the average, but basically we're looking at the temperatures of being around 83 Celsius, where on the Dell G5 when we were running that in Monster Hunter World, we were seeing 100% or 100 Celsius, which is the max for the Dell G5 and the HP Omen. So that always being at 100% is likely really taking a toll on that G5. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this down to 720p again, just like I did with the other video, and we're going to do a comparison on that as well at very high. But I'm not going to do the lowest settings. It was just kind of, it was fine at these max settings. If you want to see the results of the other ones, just let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure I put them in the next video I do, or I'll do a video just on lowest settings for some of these games. Anyway, let's go ahead and get right to it. All right, so here we go. We have starting out in the 300s on both of the laptops. The HP Omen definitely jumping over. It was at an average of 400 plus, and going down into the upper 300s. That average is way over what I was expecting for the HP Omen versus the Dell G5. Really, that's, you know, an incredible difference. And what I've been really looking at here is the CPU usage. The CPU usage on the Omen is only 28%, and the Dell G5 seems to be sticking around like 30s and 30s plus, and up to 40, 59. Yeah, it's, I mean, they both jump up and down, but that's kind of crazy. Let's see. We're getting about the same low when we go through the smoke. But like I said, I'm really looking more at the average, and the GPU megahertz dropping down is really my, you know, main concern. It's constantly jumping down and going under what I would want to see. So I don't know if it's jumping to that Intel GPU, and that's why we're seeing more frames on average. But like, that's kind of crazy. Anyway, that's a big difference. I'm happy I went with the dedicated. Like I said before, though, the HP Omen has an external monitor for DisplayPort, so you can get over 100 or over the 60 frames per second. With the Dell G5, it only has HDMI, so you'll still only be able to do 60 frames per second. Another thing I wanted to mention about this one is that I did not see much like tearing or anything like that. I did not have VSync on or anything like that, and for some reason, I really didn't see it, because this monitor does not have G-Sync. Anyway, so what I did is I went ahead and I just played a few games laying down on the laptop, just fooling around, and I kind of got an idea of where we were going with the you know, an actual benchmark or a practical benchmark. I got in the averages of 200 and something. Mostly see myself at like 250, 260. So if you're doing a 144 hertz monitor, it's definitely worth it. I also wanted to mention one big difference in this monitor. Last week it was $199, which brought it to the magic $1,000 mark, and trying to stay under that. And I noticed that today it is actually back up to $199. Sorry, $1,099. So it's up another $100. The way I'm gonna look at this as with this benchmark is it's definitely worth the extra $100 versus the Dell. Main thing I like more about the HP Omen is that it has a dedicated GPU. I can turn off the main monitor and I can play it on another monitor. The G5, I was not able to do that. So that's going to be the end of this episode. Tell me what you think in the comments. I definitely want to hear about it. If you have any questions about these laptops, put them in the comments and I will be sure to answer them to the best of my knowledge. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching. Definitely hit that subscribe button with the bell icon. So the last thing to say is take care and happy gaming.